Well, the question here, whether your initial seminary training is sufficient to take you to the end of your ministry. Well, in some ways, I suppose that's a loaded question. It depends on what seminary you went to. It depends on how the courses were taught in that seminary. Not all seminaries are equal, for sure. But if we think of the purpose of your seminary education, first of all, I would say that there's absolutely no way that any of your professors in seminary could address every single issue that you're going to have to face in the gospel ministry. What we do in seminary is, particularly in the pastoral degree, the MDiv degree, is to introduce you to the various disciplines that you're going to have to address. You're going to deal with biblical studies. That's why we teach you the languages, why we teach you theology. You're going to have to deal with counseling matters. That's why we bring in the practical theology. We're going to deal with maintaining orthodoxy. That's why we look at church history. So all of these things are working together to introduce you to the various areas of ministry that you're going to face. But there's no way, I say, that any professor is able to predict every single circumstance and every single issue that you're going to have to address in the ministry. So there is a place for furthering your education. There is a place for continuing education. When you look at other professional fields, I don't know of any other professional field that takes their initial education as all that is necessary. If you're a CPA, you're going to have continuing education. If you're a teacher, there's going to be continuing education courses. And I think the same thing would apply to those of us in the ministry as well, to increase our circle of knowledge. And particularly as we have faced this issue or that issue, we're going to realize, yes, there are some things here that I don't know, some things that we need to have greater insight. And so again, we can rely upon others. So a continuing education will keep us from being stagnant. It will help us to be progressive, not in changing the truth, but enabling us to increase, I say, our circle of knowledge. And the more our circle of knowledge increases in any particular field, the more competent we are going to be in explaining that and, in our instance, preaching that to others. I can read textbooks in my initial studies that are very instructive, that gets us started. But unless I have that circle of knowledge that increases, I say we're going to become fixed and stagnant and stale in our ministry. So there is a very real place for continuing our education. The seminary training, I trust, was good. And I trust it introduced you to the appropriate topics that you're going to have to deal with in the ministry. But the ministry is a living progressive exercise. And so we need to keep abreast of what the issues are. We need to keep abreast of what the problems are. And by continuing our education, taking a course here, taking a course there, is going to help us stay abreast of what the current needs are. So I trust that your initial seminary education was good, but we're always learning, and we're always in a place where we need to progress in our understanding of what our field of knowledge is, in this instance, the Word of God, where we can become more competent in our preaching and teaching to others.